for 3 to 4 years. Yeah, because it's rare that I get involved in the early teachings. So the second thing you notice about me, I think so far, that I'm speaking in English. Did you notice that? Because that's also going to be the modern education in the university. A lot of teachers will be doing it in English, and a lot of will do it in Danish too. I think I can speak and understand Danish, but it's not great fun for me. So if I speak Danish, only you will be having fun and I will be totally stiff. So the first thing, well, just to tell you a little bit more about myself, that why I have been asked to give this little smearproof to you guys, and what is my background. So I think I have worked hard to be able to stand in front of you. So just to tell you a bit about myself, so I come from the North Indian city of Amritsar, where this beautiful golden temple is. And actually, if we can see on the arrow, this blue screen, that's the screen there. This photo is from January this year when I went there. This screen, there used to be a house there. That's where I was born in 1955, long time ago, when your parents were born. So, but now that house doesn't exist because they have changed it. So, and then, of course, I had to go through a long period of education. The earliest university degrees, which you will also get in 4 years, 5 years time, is master's. So I did my master's degrees in India. Then I moved to England to do my PhD on aging. And then I came to Denmark in 1984. And that's where I established the Laboratory of Aging. And I think I was the first one to get this post-PhD Doctor of Science degree on aging in the world from Aarhus University. And after that, people have started then, acknowledging me for my work on aging. And there are some honorary degrees and other awards and all this usual stuff in a scientific career. So on the way, as a scientist, you have to publish, you have to teach. I think I have been doing that reasonably. Lots of papers published, books published, young students who do their master's projects, PhD projects with me. That's done, books for children, etc. And all this time I'm interested in the field of aging. So I think you can then trust me that what I will share with you comes with a nice background, that I have learned the subject. And that is one thing which in the university you will experience again and again. Learning about a subject from the people who have perhaps spent their life on that subject. Unlike your gymnasia teachers or school teachers who are not doing practical research themselves. So here, like in English, we call, you know this, listening from horses' mouth. You will get to see many horses. So if you study aging, then yes, it becomes that if Suresh Rattan is teaching aging, so he is the guy who has spent almost 40 years, 35 years on that subject, and we are still doing. So that's one difference of education from college and school level. So a subject like aging, how do we go about it? Any science starts with observation, and the observation is lifespan is limited. Every living system dies sooner or later. Is there anybody here in whose family nobody has died? Say great-great-grandparents. Everybody will die, including you guys. It's far away for you, but it's nearer for me. Lifespan can be very short, few minutes, or hundreds of years. That's the whole range. So the question, the scientific question becomes, why? Why lifespan is limited? Why do we die? And who determines the lifespan? So of course, how to answer this question? That's what human beings always do. They ask the question, then they have to find some answers. And one way of giving these kinds of answers is what we say the two ways of knowledge. The one way is the answers given by religion, where God is involved in giving answers. Like the answer to this question, why lifespan is limited, simple answer, that's how God decides. Yeah. God has made the world, God has decided the thing, which is not a scientific answer, and which I think is not even very knowledgeable answer. And I think that's a wrong answer if we say, God has decided it. I would like to find out how many of you also agree that it's a wrong answer. Well, potential scientists, fantastic. Yeah. Because if you think it's the right answer, then you don't need to waste your next 1 hour with me. Yeah, because then you know the answer, and the story is finished, then you don't need to even inquire about it. So that is one difference from the religious way of understanding things, which generally gives you a ready-made answer, and you have to accept it if you belong to that religion. Yeah. So you can always challenge the answers of the other religion, but not your own religion. So then all scientific research stops, all inquiry stops. And you guys have chosen to study science. So which basically means that we cannot fall on those kind of answers. So how do we go about having this derived knowledge by doing experiments and getting the answers to a question like aging? That lifespan is limited. But limited means what? What lifespan? So that's where we need to understand also how many types of lifespans are there. And first of all, even when does aging begin? When we want to talk about aging, like socially, when do you say somebody is old? The governments have to decide that now you are old and now you should either go to pension or preferably even die if possible. Because it's a money problem. Yeah. So there must be some way of measuring. At the moment, Denmark is 65 years pension age or other thing. Then there is psychological basis of aging. When do you call yourself old? You might call your father and grandfather as old, but if you ask him, is he old? Does he feel old? Or if you go to a playa, old people's home, and ask, are you old? Oh, no, I'm not old, she is old. And that's a very, very important issue. How do we decide who is old? But here we are studying the biological side because that's what my training is. But those are very important questions also. So in biology, I will share with you some of the things which biogerontologists, the people who study the biological basis of aging, have come to the conclusions. And one of the guys whom I want to pay tribute here and introduce him here is this guy, Robin Holliday. In your molecular biology, you will study Holliday junctions when DNA recombination happens. He was my teacher. I did my PhD with him and he was a scholar on aging. He just died a couple of months ago. This fellow contributed tremendous knowledge in doing experiments and creating knowledge about why we age. So a lot of the things which I will be sharing with you is a kind of a tribute to my teacher also. So what is lifespan? What kind of lifespan? We all know average lifespans. Like average lifespan in Denmark at the moment is around 80 years. For women it's 82 or 83, for men it's about 78. And that average lifespan has been changing throughout history. Just look at this. In 1900, if we could draw the curve of survival, average was somewhere here, 50. Now is somewhere around here, and it will even go further. So average has been increasing. The maximum has not been increasing. So this is one type of lifespan which we study always. That's the basis of policy making, politics, all that. What is the average lifespan? And the second lifespan we all know is called the maximum lifespan. That who has lived longest in any condition. Do you know what is the record for human maximum lifespan? Who has lived longest in human history so far, about which we know? Any idea? Give me any number. 1,000 years, 100 years, or have you ever heard of any human lifespan record? Yes.
121, I think.
Yeah, almost. Just missing by 1 year. The longest lived person for whom we have a lot of information was this lady who died at the age of 122, 5 months and 14 days in 1997. 14 years ago she died. Nobody has crossed this limit yet. Will there be anybody else who will live longer than that? Why not? What about 150 years? Or 200 years? Or 500 years? Will somebody live? Yeah, you have all studied biology, something starts happening. No, it's not possible. Why not? That's what the question of aging is. So this Madame Jean Calment is the record holder at the moment. And until half an hour ago, the oldest person alive in the world is this lady. I checked on the internet database who keep track of that, and she hasn't died. It was 1:45, I checked last time. She is 116 years and 5 months old. Will she live longer than 122? Yeah, why not? There is no special reason for that, but we have to wait for 6 years. And there are people in aging research who keep track of very persons in the world, that who is older than 110 years. Do you know how many people in the whole world are over the age of 110? Very old people, we call them supercentenarians. There are only 75 people about whom scientists have data. If there are some other people, maybe few here and there in a remote area, we don't know. But those are the people about which scientists have got all the information. 75 people over the age of 110. Yeah, and she is the oldest one. And out of 75, a good news for half of you, or more than half, but bad news for others, 73 are women and 2 are men. Yeah. Look at the ratio difference. In young age, in society, we have generally 50-50 ratio with a plus minus. In countries like India and China, where we kill our women, so there the ratio is a bit different. But in Denmark, generally, it's a quite equal ratio. But in old age, even at the age of 80, there's a difference of average lifespan. But in very old ages, only 2 people, men. And if you go to any playa, majority will be women there over the age of 80. Yeah. Why? So that shows something about genetics also. That maybe there is something in the genes of the men or some lifestyle. We will not touch on those things too much on that. So these are 2 kinds of lifespans. Average lifespan and maximum lifespan. Then there is a third kind of lifespan. That is how long we should live. What should be our lifespan? Yeah, that's called the biological lifespan, essential lifespan. That we have to have some lifespan to fulfill our purpose of life. What is our purpose of life in biology? Anybody? Yeah.
Reproduce.
Exactly. So which is a very nice and very boring purpose both ways. Because that is the purpose of life also of a dog or a cat or a rat or a Drosophila. Which can be very depressing. Oh dear, my purpose of life is the same like the purpose of life of an insect. Yes. As a biological system, as a Homo sapiens, our purpose is exactly the same like any other purpose. Then it's a different story that as a human beings, what is our purpose? Again, that's part of sociology and psychology. So every species needs a certain lifespan to grow, develop, mature, and reproduce. And that's called essential lifespan or natural lifespan. Some people call it warranty period. That's the time you definitely need. So essential lifespan is the time needed by evolution so that your species does not die young. And for human beings, not a great news, it's only about 45 years. So from evolution's point of view, we are only needed to live for about 45 years, which is again not very far away even from you guys, and for me it was 10 years ago. Yeah, but that is what the biology or scientific research shows, that 45 years is what evolution makes for us. After that, well, whatever Allah wants or God wants or Ram wants, if you want to be a little cynical. So aging starts if you live longer than essential lifespan. That is the definition of biology of aging. This is my own growth, development, aging. So the first part where I was still a student and I came to Denmark at the age of 29, I don't think I was aging. Then aging starts somewhere for me here. And this is what I look forward to if I survive and if I become 86. It's not a Photoshop thing for my future thing. This is my ideal. That's how my father was 1 month before his death. Healthy, aging, old man, very active, nice, and just dies. And if I can survive to that, that will be wonderful. But if you see the sequence, my own growth, maturation, immortality, and aging. Immortality, evigt liv, comes before aging. How? By passing on my genes. So, this is my son who becomes 28 today. He's an actor and living in Copenhagen now. So, potentially I have taken the step towards immortality. My genetic information has been passed on. Like your parents have taken this important step. They have given you their DNA, which can continue if you continue to reproduce. So immortality comes much before even aging starts. And that's what the message of growth, development, aging is all about. So aging research then deals with what happens during aging in every kind of stuff. And in your first 3-4 years in the university, this is the kind of information you learn from people who have been measuring things in every subject at all levels. So we know everything. What happens in a species level, organ level, body level, cell level. If I teach a biogerontology course, it takes about 6 or 7 lectures to complete it. So it's not fun to talk about these. So scientists know almost everything, what happens during aging. In our laboratory in Aarhus, since 1984, we have been working with this kind of system that if you take human cells, like skin cells, and you grow in the laboratory, then they can grow only about 50 times, and during that time, look, the change happening. The young cells, thin and long, and slowly they are becoming old. This kind of thing in the body can take 100 years to happen, so it's difficult to study. But in the laboratory, it takes about 1 year. So that's what we have been using the system to measure lots of stuff. I could see some of you were visiting my student and my colleague Anders Olsen's lab yesterday, where he's using nematodes for aging studies. So they are even more easy to work with. They have a lifespan of about 30 days. But this thing, so this is the work which we do in our lab in Aarhus University. Important thing from all these data is that aging happens in every part of the body. There is nothing in the body which does not become old. And more importantly, it becomes old in different ways. No two people become old in the same way, even if they are twins. Yeah? No two parts in the body become old in the same way. No two cells become old in the same way. And so that makes this question of aging very, very fascinating. That not even two cells, not even two molecules of DNA become old in the same way. Which means that if you want to stop aging or you want to make people young again, you cannot have one solution, one drug, one pill for everybody, because if it's so complex and so complicated. So that is the central message. And you will get to learn about these things in your 4 years here. But lifestyle affects how you become old. And this is just one example where you can see these 3 pictures where the left cheek is much more wrinkled and old looking than the right cheek. And the difference is basically their lifestyle, that these are all 3 drivers. They work for 4 to 5 hours a day driving around. So the cheek exposed to the sun side, even if it's not direct sun, but the UV is always there, is aging faster. Yeah. You get wrinkles more. Same thing about all other factors, smoking, nutrition, sun, physical and other kinds of stress. So all these things will affect how we become old, how do we look old, what problems we get, and that's a very, very important part. Because genes only determine a little bit of our aging. Most of our health and aging is dependent upon our lifestyle. At the moment you don't worry, but maybe you have to think you can help your parents and grandparents if they want to have, say, healthy aging. So the important question is there any gene? Is there any enemy in the body? which makes us old. Am I going all right, or are you having a nice sleep? Because if you want to interrupt me with this monologue, otherwise we'll continue. You can always raise the hand and maybe ask a question. We will have a little bit discussion at the end also. But is going on the pace slowly? All right. Because I sometimes need, because I know you have been very busy and moving around from left to left. The good news, the science has told there is no program of aging. Often we talk about programs of gene expression, gene regulation, this, that. There is no gene in our body which causes aging. Genes are there to keep us alive for essential lifespan. There is no enemy inside the body. And that's a very, very important message which biogerontologists have come. That there is nothing in the body which is measuring time, or which is now say, okay, Suresh, Rattan, now you are 59, now you have only 500 years left, or 5 years left. Yeah. And that changes your approach towards health. That you cannot talk about anti-aging. There is no enemy whom you can neutralize. You know, like diseases, if there is a bacteria which causes some disease, you can find drugs, antibiotics to kill the bacteria. If there is other kind of enemy in society, that's the American way of doing things, that you find an enemy and then you send missiles to kill the enemy, yeah, or you create the enemy. But if you find out that there is no enemy, but still we will age and we will die, then what to do? Yeah, then it becomes even more challenging. That you have to deal with your friend. The body is your friend, and we will talk about how to deal with that. And that's a great achievement of modern science, modern aging research, to reach this conclusion that there is no enemy in the body. We have to treat our body in a different manner, not against something, but for, say, health. And aging then happens because there is a lot of damage happening in the cells. And you will, in all your biochemistry and molecular biology, you will learn a lot about all these aspects. How DNA is getting damaged, of RNA, protein, this and that. So the molecular reason for aging is the damage happens because evolution has not made mechanisms to remove damage all the time. It works for 40 years, 45 years, but then things are allowed to go wrong. Then what do you do with aging? We all want to say the anti-aging thing, that we want to stop aging, and there are lots of these stories in every culture. These two paintings show about, in European culture, there is a story of the fountain of youth. People have been going around searching for fountains of youth. That there is a place somewhere maybe where you can come in from one side and get out on the other side as a young person. But very interesting painting from 16th century. It's only women who are made to go into this pool. Yeah, as if old age is the issue problem for women only. Old men, they can still go on the other side and get those young rejuvenated women. Yeah, and that is still the whole problem. All this anti-aging industry makes women feel bad about their age. You are looking bad, you are horrible, this is going to happen. But yeah, very little about men. Now they have started talking about men because they can see they can make money from men also. Yeah. But otherwise it's all the pressure of looking young is always about women. Why not to look healthy and old? Yeah. But every culture has the story. The other picture is an Indian story that where they got the water of immortality and only the gods could live forever. People are trying various kinds of researches to do something about what happens with aging. So either you can change the organs, you can replace heart, knees, everything. These are called the piecemeal remedies, that you can repair what is going wrong. Perhaps in future we can even take off our wrinkled skin every few years and put a new one. Those technologies are coming up. Face-off kind of technology. So that if you are so obsessed about old face, well, every few years you just take a new mask there with your own cells, it can make it. Stem cells, a big thing you will be studying for 3 years there. The stem cells can do problems, but they don't stop aging, they don't change the whole pattern. Then, I don't know, some of you might have in your school days seen this book. Many years ago I wrote this book for Danish folk schools. that asked to write on aging in a different way. So we created this formula that yes, we can live forever if we follow this formula, E is equal to GMC squared. GMC square, does it give any familiarity with any other formula in physics? Yeah. E is equal to MC squared. Yeah. That's a very serious physics concept by Einstein. But this is a conceptual thing to make a point, that if you want to live forever, you have to do these three things. First of all, you have to have perfect genes which protect you, because genes are there, but they are not perfect. To save you from damage, to remove the damage, to improve upon your function. See, we are not trying to remove any genes, we are not killing any genes, but we need better genes. Can we do it? Perhaps yes. One day we'll be able to do genetic engineering for every gene. But then the question comes, should we even improve? Oh, that's your free PowerPoint program. So it hid by some of the things. Here it comes, why can't we then create new parts? If science can make things change in our body, should we make even wings again to our body? Or get a third eye in the back? Or two hearts? Now, that's a question for future scientists also, that when science has power to do things, how far should we go? What is wrong in having wings or a nice tail also? Then we don't need these tools. We can just sit on the tail, and then, or the heart especially, it works 4 years and then switches off. That's a very, very important issue which, as a science student, you must always keep in the back of your mind, the ethics, the responsibility towards society and whatever we want to do. The second part of the equation is environment. Genes do not work without a cell or without a context. And environment is much more complex. And that's where most of the aging research is being done, how to play around with this vitamin, those antioxidant, this hormone, this and that. And huge amount of data is available. Cosmetics are always very interesting. So, because that's the biggest market. Cosmetics, do you understand the word cosmetic? Cosmetic means superficial, which doesn't do anything. Yeah, that's what a cosmetic is. If a cosmetic is doing something in the body, they stop it. You cannot sell it as a cosmetic. So cosmetic is some formulation which does not do anything, but it's your wishful thinking. You think it is doing, and it might be making you happy, but it doesn't do anything to wrinkles. There is no cosmetics like that. Those will be drugs. But that's a huge industry, and one should use it to feel good about yourself. People have done research on cosmetics, giving cosmetics to old women in applied EMs, kind of stuff. And after 2-3 weeks of use, their complaints to the doctor, that they were all the time going to the doctors with this problem, that by 90%, they were gone, the problems, just by using cosmetics. Because they felt good about themselves. They spent 15 minutes looking at them and doing it, and then they were good to other people, and other people were good to them. That is how cosmetics works, by your social interactions, by your keeping you happy, but not through any biological thing. A lot of other things similarly work same way. You all know about antioxidants. That word, you know, antioxidants? That will keep you healthy. Yes, I can give you a perfect antioxidant, and what will happen? You will die in 1 second. Because without free radicals, without oxidants, there is no biochemistry. Biochemistry depends upon the production of free radicals and oxidants and all. Recently, or last year, this Nobel Prize winner, Watson and Crick, you know the name, the DNA discoverer? So Watson wrote an article saying, antioxidants cause cancer. After 60 years of research on antioxidants, he reaches the conclusion that actually antioxidants cause cancer, because free radicals are needed in the body to kill cancer. And if you remove the free radicals, you actually promote the cancer cells also. So that's a very serious issue in health research. I will finally give you a little taste of the latest ideas in aging, which our lab is the world pioneer. The relationship between stress and health. We all talk about stress as bad. Yes, it is bad if it is there constantly and severe. But in reality, low level of stress actually improves health. And it's the high level of stress which is damaging. And this is a very special effect. Like this is one example of an experiment done by one of the students in our lab in 1998 or whatever. All experiments, by the way, in the labs are done by students like you on their third year and fourth year. So we depend upon you guys in developing or producing new knowledge. Now this experiment shows that if we grow normal cells at 37 degrees, how they look at half-life and full lifetime. But if we give them little fever, 41 degrees, only for 1 hour, 2 times a week, even untrained person can see what's the difference in the extreme. Now, these are the normal old cells, and these are the cells which have been given stress again and again and again, 2 times a week. So stress can be very beneficial, low level of stress, and that is the phenomenon called hormesis. Hormesis is the phenomenon where low level of stress has lots of beneficial effects, including slowing down aging and increasing lifespan. This is the book which I have compiled together with a French writer. There are 15 chapters dealing on various types of stresses. Do you know of any stress which is actually good? Stress, yes.
Exercise.
Yeah, exercise. What is exercise? Exercise is when you pay the money to Fitness World and get more damage in your body. Yeah. After a whole day of stressful education and fighting and this and that, then you pay the money to get more damage. Because that's what exercise is. When you do exercise, it produces billions of new free radicals which are causing more damage. Acids, your cells are getting killed. But after exercise, you get a lot of benefits out of it. And nobody doubts about the importance of exercise. And that is the phenomenon of hormesis on which our lab for the last 10 years is working full time. So we call the condition like exercise a hormetin. Yeah, physical hormetin. Exercise is a physical hormetin. It causes the damage, body tries to defend against the damage, and you get benefits. Same thing is done by radiation. Even low doses of radiation improves health. Heat experiment is sitting in sauna. Maybe that's why it's useful, that we don't have full data on that. Even psychological hormetins, this mental exercise, reading, doing your homework, even meditation, focused attention. These are hormetins which create low level of stress benefits. And the latest research is food components. A lot of things which we eat in our food, that is good only because it's bad. Things like spices, or garlic, onion, ginger, curcumin, what is good about them in terms of nutrition? Zero. Regular nutrition means protein, carbohydrate, fats. All these things, the spices are good because they actually cause a little bit of damage in the cell. And the cell defends against the damage and it cleans up the system. And there is huge amount of research going on in this area now. How different parts of plants and animal food are hormetins. And our lab is one of the leading labs in that. Even in red wine, when you talk about red wine is good because of resveratrol. Yes, because resveratrol causes damage, low level damage. So the message here is that stress of choice is good. When stress is not of your choice, it's imposed upon you, then yes, it's bad. There is no doubt about it, and our society is suffering from that kind of stress created by the economic system, by the demands of the bosses. But when you can choose your stress, when you choose to attend certain lectures which are going to be stressful, but you gain a lot of things out of it. Giving this lecture is not unstressful for me. Yeah. It might feel that, okay, I'm doing it lightly, but it took me through certain preparation. And that is my stress of choice. When I can see that you like this lecture, you will give me a nice clap at the end, I will feel happy also about it. So, most of the work done, as I already mentioned, in our labs and every other lab, is done by young students, mostly from your bachelor project onwards. And this is just an example of from around 2000, last 14 years, students coming from all around the world, including Danish students, and coming to our labs and doing their MSc, PhD projects, and they have contributed this knowledge. So in about 3 years' time, you will also be able to choose your subjects, and maybe at that time you might have interest in aging research. So welcome to the fascinating world of science and challenge and education, and make life better for everybody. Thank you very much. We have few minutes, I think, until 2 o'clock. Or if any burning questions, comments, disagreements, or even some more nice words of praise, whatever. Yes.
I have a question. You wouldn't happen to know a company called the Blue Zones when you sort of do the physics marketing scan, or
The Blue Zone, what do they produce?
the Blue Zone? It's an American company.
Yeah. I don't know this particular one, but they will be similar to. Yeah, what do they claim? They sell you some.
They claim to have found the 6 locations in the world with the highest density of centenarians.
Yes. Yeah.
And the company is, implementing this into American cities. The public figure, as you call it,
Mm-hmm.
and they have like these 7 levels of lifestyle choices. And I don't know.
Yeah, these are very imaginative people
Yeah.
who start with certain basic facts from science, and then they just extrapolate it without any research, without anything. Yeah, centenarians, yes. Okinawa, for example,
Yes.
that island, there is more concentration of, and there has been some lifestyle studies on that and some genetic studies. So those kind of studies are going on to find what is special about some people who live very long. Are there any genes which they have? But so far there is no such correlations available for anything. And any companies who claim that they can tweak around with one pathway or 2 molecules, etc., these are just wishful thinkings, because we are afraid of dying and aging and death, and they make money out of those feelings. So there is no actually product in the market. The best ones will be the lifestyle. The hormesis is the approach which is developing more and more, that choose your combination of challenging yourself. But we still don't know what is the best challenge. Yeah, we all know exercise is good, but how much exercise of which kind is good for you and which is good for her? Science doesn't have the answer yet. But there are companies who would like to give you the exact formula by looking at 2 genes or something. So be careful on those things. There are big claims. Or they use the example that aging research shows this hormone goes down. Yeah, there's a nice curve, age related. This hormone goes down. So if you take that hormone, you will start becoming young. Absolutely wrong. Because most of the time, hormones need to go down to make you live longer. Low levels of insulin in old age are good. Low levels of testosterone, low levels of melatonin. Actually, the best anti-aging formula or life prolonging formula for men, you know what it is? And no man likes it. That's castration. Get yourself castrated, no testosterone, and you get about 7 to 8 years of life. So how many of you would like to have that? Yeah. And there are data behind that from experiments and other. So hormone therapy is another example where they are doing more damage, because science shows it goes down with age. There are lots of things which are low in my body, but they haven't killed me yet. That means they might be actually important for my body to keep them low. If I try to bring my body in biochemical level to your age group, it might do much more damage biologically. Same thing sociologically. Sometimes old people, when they become, say, 72, to a healthy ask, no, I'm not 72, I'm 27. They want to remember. No, rubbish. Because if you tell yourself that you are 27, you are denying. You are going to behave also in some wrong ways, like to run up the stairs and maybe fall down even. or compete with the younger generation for the same kind of pleasures in life. So what is important in aging research is how to have healthy old age. Accept your age. That's what you can, perhaps you might need to tell your parents and grandparents, that don't go into this denial pressure. Don't go into the pressure of becoming Barbie dolls again. Live your age with full dignity and with full looking forward to. I look forward to being like that, my father. Yeah. That will give me much more confidence. I feel free. I feel I can have better health. So that is the whole idea of aging research, not increasing lifespans, but increasing health span. Yeah, you want to ask something? Oh.
Yes. What is the general reason that women live longer than men?
We don't know yet. There are various hypotheses. One is actually the hormonal changes, because women have very low levels of testosterone to start with, and even those go down with age, and their female hormones, progesterones, and they are also going down. So there is this balance in the catabolic pathway. Then there are certain evolutionary explanations, but more than that, actually, we don't have full answer on that. Yes.
First of all, thanks for a nice lecture. We've talked a bit about hormesis, but what about the telomeres? Is there a difference between those and the X and Y chromosomes?
At individual chromosome, telomere lengths vary, and they vary between two people. Yeah. It's not exactly the same telomere length on every chromosome of everybody. And telomere loss with aging in dividing cell is a well-established phenomenon. But this is another of the changes happening with age. It's not causing aging. This is what cells are unable to maintain telomere. So aging, which we see, is that inability to keep health or to keep working, not something causing it. So telomere loss is a very important marker that yes, body is aging or cells might be having trouble. But by setting the telomeres to some original length will make the system young? No way. It doesn't happen like that. But there are companies who sell some Chinese herbs which can increase your telomere length. And then what? All cancer cells have high, or not long, but they maintain their telomeres. One question which you haven't asked, that was, you raised the...
Yeah, do you have theories on an individual's psychology's effect on their biological condition?
Yes, definitely. There is a lot of work now beginning to get in how our way of thinking, our mind, our temperament affects our general health and our survival. But hardcore experiments are very difficult to do. But low level of mental stress or challenge is also good. In that book, this hormesis in Health and Disease, there is a psychoanalyst who has written a fantastic chapter on how mental stress helps. But these kind of studies need to be done to combine psychology and biology. In my equation, GMC squared, I have talked G and M. You know, G can be manipulated, maybe M can be manipulated. C, I didn't mention anything.
Chance.
That will we become immortal? So C is chance, till Feldy here. Yeah, because the quantum physics tells that nothing can be accurate 100% of the time. So in all systems, sooner or later, things will go wrong. So even if you have perfect genes and perfect environment, which is impossible anyway, but even if it is possible, then even then things will go wrong because of the intrinsic quantum physics way of working. So don't talk about immortality or eternal life. If you or your parents or your relatives are interested in that, then there are other areas. Religion gives you hope, some kind of either in the next life, or like Buddhist will put you into the Genbrug of the life again and again, or you will wake up one day, resurrection. There are nice stories about that to keep yourself happy, which is also important. Sometimes you want to feel happy, because science and knowledge often makes you depressed actually. Yeah, because it brings you face to face with reality, and sometimes reality is terrible. So we want to have some peace of mind. So welcome to Aarhus University. Enjoy your 4, 5, 6, 20, 30, whatever years you are going to spend here. Who knows, you might see me around. Come to my lab in a few years' time. Thanks for coming today. Thank you.